All right, here we go. This is the Daily Hit on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. Hey, I got a comment from somebody who said, instead of doing signs, why don't you do graphics? So I'm going to have to figure out a way. I'm not that tech savvy yet. We're just building the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel, and it's free to subscribe. So I hope you subscribe, and you'll get an update whenever we do something like this, which is the Daily Hit. But yeah, I'm going to figure out a way to do some graphics like here. I'll figure out how to do all of that. I mean, it can't be that difficult. We're just building this channel. We just reached over 100 subscribers, so I hope you become a subscriber and share it with your friends. We do interviews, and then we do the Daily Hit. So today, Nancy Pelosi was named Speaker of the House. She was voted Speaker of the House. And the new Congress members and Senate and House members were sworn in today. And so the Republicans still control the Senate, but there are the Democrats now in charge of the House of Representatives. And Nancy Pelosi is the Speaker of the House again. I personally think that's a mistake because I think the Democrats and the Republicans need new faces. And Nancy Pelosi, just to me, does not represent a new face. She's political status quo. And you saw what happened when the Democrats relied on political status quo before. It was Hillary Clinton, and they lost the election. But, one of the interesting things today was that President Trump apparently could not stand to think that Nancy Pelosi was getting so much attention, and the Democrats were getting attention by becoming new members of Congress. And so what does he do? He pops into the White House briefing room and doesn't take any questions, but makes these big statements about the wall. Look, this is one of the more controversial things that I talk about on my radio talk show on WWL, AM/FM, and .com. And for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's real simple. I got a call today. I'm in New Orleans. This is my apartment in downtown New Orleans. And WWL, AM/FM, and .com is in New Orleans. And I got a call today from Orange County, California, from a new listener, a guy who's just been listening for 2 days. Some family members on the Mississippi Gulf Coast told him about my show. And so he's been tuning into the show. So we do have people around the country. And if you want to find us, just go to radio.com and then type in WWL and you'll find the show. And I'm on 1 to 4 in the afternoon, and that is New Orleans time. So where was I? Oh, yeah. So Trump starts talking about the wall. And, I got calls about this on my show again today. There are those people who have been conned into believing that the wall is the ultimate answer. And I don't think it is. If it was, maybe spend $5 billion on it. I just don't think it's the final answer. Is it going to help? It might. But the problem is there's so much hysteria surrounding the wall. And this started when President Trump was on the campaign trail. This has become this tangible, symbolic symbol for border security, when this is not going to solve the problem. I would be for the wall if it solved the problem, but it's not going to. But this is the more simplistic thing that Americans can mentally grasp. Maybe not you or me, but this country in general always looks for the simplistic answer. It may not be the solution, but they're looking for the simplistic answer. And the simplistic answer in the minds of many is build that wall. Well, we already know Mexico's not going to pay for it. But there are hundreds of thousands. In fact, I think last year there were 700,000 illegal immigrants that came to this country. They came here legally. They came here legally on visas, and they overstayed their visas. That's how they get into the country. There are not thousands of people jumping over the wall. They're not thousands of people crawling across the border. That's not happening. That is factually not true. That is fake news. But people refuse to abandon the idea that that is reality because that's what they have been led to believe. And it's really sad. And this is, this is why the country's in the shape that it's in. And I'll tell you what's really sad about all of this is that, every day there's something new like this going on in the news. And it's different every day, but it's the same tone, it's the same thing. And I don't know about you, but I get tired of it. So today on my radio show, I was talking about bro country. I had a great conversation with Tyler and Brian of a Florida Georgia line. They were in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, for the All-State Sugar Bowl, and the All-State Fan Fest. And I had a great conversation with those guys, and I talked to them about their music. It's classified as bro country. That's one name for it. This is the influence that has come from a lot of younger country performers who grew up with rock and country and hip hop. And so all of this influence comes into country music. So country music is more pop now than ever. Country music's never been bigger than it is now. And the line between country and pop has never been more vague. So this term bro country is like the new term for this subgenre within country music that explains this pop music. Thomas Rhett is an example. Florida Georgia Line, an example. Taylor Swift, of course, is part of this. Taylor Swift was a country performer who has done really well on the pop charts. Another example is who am I thinking of? I'm just drawing a blank here. But it's interesting that country performers. Well, I know who I'm talking about. Maren Morris, who is a young country singer-songwriter, and she's got the big pop hit, The Middle, that she did with DJ producer Zed, Maybe in the Middle. And so these are two examples of people who've been very successful on the pop charts. Carrie Underwood, another example. And it's interesting that the country people who cross over to the pop charts are more accepted than the pop people who go to the country charts. Steven Tyler, a couple of years ago, did country music. Cyndi Lauper recently has done that. Bret Michaels, and many others. And they don't have the same staying power. I don't know whether it's the exclusivity of country music or if they're just not credible enough. But there's no question that there's this fine line between country and pop music today. I think it's great. I love country music today. And, when I was young, the alternative to pop music was country western with tang. Yeah, I didn't care for that. I respect those people. I respect the pioneers in country western music. I respect the classic country performers. But there has been this trend for years now to be more pop. And some people say that's not even country music. In fact, rap and hip hop have actually worked their way into influence some country music. It's called bro country, it's called hick hop, or it's called crap, country rap. Those are the terms that are used to describe some of the new pop country music. But it's working, and country music is huge, and artists are huge. So I don't have a problem with it. I like it. I went to the big Bayou Superfest in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, not this past summer, but the summer before, and just really fell in love with a lot of country performers. Thomas Rhett was among them. Blake Shelton was there that night. I loved Rascal Flatts. They were there that night as well. So I think it's really cool. And I know that there are people who think that this is not really country music, but it is. And I guess it kind of becomes a microcosm for the homogenized world that we have become, which means that there are people who are country performers, but because of mass media, because we're all exposed to the same things at the same time, over the years, young people were more diverse than the traditional country people. And so the newer country people, the younger people who are into country music, they were not afraid to take a chance and let their rock, pop, hip hop influence become part of their music. And I think it's a great thing. But again, not everybody likes it. So then there's going to be somewhat of a backlash. And I think about people like Chris Stapleton, talented country performer. Chris Stapleton, to me, is more traditional country, even though he's a young, relatively new artist. And Florida Georgia Line told me, uh, Brian and Brian and Tyler. Yeah, why did I forget that? Brian and Tyler told me when I was talking to them that they have a new album coming out in February, and it's going to be a little more traditional country. It's going to remind people more of the '90s country music that they grew up with, which was still kind of getting a little pop oriented. So anyway, that's all. I love country music the way it is. Not everybody likes it, but I think it's pretty cool. And you know, the audience decides. The audience changed country music by accepting a more pop version of country music, and they made it bigger than it has ever been before. And I will tell you this, in my career, of all the people that I've interviewed many more rock people than country people. I want to be honest and tell you that after this past weekend with Florida Georgia Line and with Maren Morris, two top country performers, I can confirm that, yes, it is true. Country artists are much easier to deal with than the average pop rock artist. Their management is easier to deal with. They are easier to deal with. Look, I've had a lot of accommodating pop rock stars deal with me and the interviews, and it's been great. But overall, as a group, I got to give a shout out to the country music performers and their management. Much easier to deal with. So again, this is the Daily Hit on the Scoot on the Air YouTube channel. And again, I hope you will become a member, Scoot on the Air YouTube. Subscribe now. It'll give you an alert as to what we do. We do interview shows. There's a lot of great interviews posted up on the YouTube channel right now. And we're planning more interviews coming up. So there'll be another interview show coming up soon and another Daily Hit tomorrow.